You are now tuned in to Coffee Talk on LE Radio. Serving you up some new flavor, fresh out of ATL. Where the vibes prevail, the convo's held between a scale of 1 to 10 exceeds 1,000. But do you feel me? Go ahead and get your cups ready as we pour into your mind, slow and steady. You may need a full cup for this. CoffeeTV.com. We got raw and adulterated conversations, live, provocative entertainment, new flavor in your ear from my podcast talk show radio. Watch us live online in the studio. Tell a friend they can come too. Never know what's in store with the whole crew. Cause we got you. Yeah. Get here for the vibes. Follow us at LE Radio Live.
Good evening again. We are back. Welcome to Coffee Talk Radio once again. For those of you that were tuning in earlier, we were talking about women proposing men, but now we actually have our featured guest that's available with us. So I'm really excited about to bring her on. So, Don, you got anything for us before we get into her bio?
No, you can go ahead on and get into it. I'm good.
Okay, so this dynamic woman, I actually had time to actually go through her YouTube and everything, which we're gonna make sure to give you guys all her links and everything that's available. Is a spiritual life coach and feminine energy expert. She's a published best-selling author of her new book, The Great Woman Resurrected. Which is available now on Amazon. Make sure you go get it. And she's helping like women all over the world discover themselves through remembering the ancient earth principles of feminine power. So tonight we're going to be talking about a few different topics, but our main topic of focus we're going to talk about is how to stop giving your power away to narcissists and how you can attract an individual person that really actually values you. So that's going to be our main topic tonight. So definitely please welcome on our illustrious guest as she comes into the studio.
Perceived it was perfection, some indiscretion. Seemed like it was mostly a projection of insecurities that built the family trees. The trauma was taken ignoring the triggers that make the baby jealous. See, meant to be deceptive. The illness is progressive, emotions they neglected. Gotta search for love with the heart full guarded and protected. From shallowness and greed, superficial needs. Materialism becomes a division between us, breaking soul and more dimensional. Energy levels, magnetic frequencies sound vibrational. My aura colors full of all the memories. They take me to the trees, cause there's my ancestry. Communicate the roots, universal stars. Stand up on the Mars, powerful we are. The pain just felt, the venom through your snow. Become possessed with this alone. Eliminate what's got to go. Letting the pain just flow, the venom moves through you slow. Become possessed with this alone. Eliminate what's got to go. You despise my life. I hide instead of changing inside. You come, but I don't know how. Cause the rhythm inside is away now. And maybe I should just release. Call my 𝑬𝒑𝒆𝒊𝒕𝒖𝒂𝒍. I'm your 𝑬𝒑𝒆𝒊𝒂𝒊𝒕𝒖𝒂𝒍.
Oh,
Here we
yeah,
have
that's
the
good.
pyramidal structure and the witness.
Hello, good evening, Miss Mystic. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm good. Thank you for having me on here.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming tonight. I know we kind of got a little bit late start, but I think good things come to those who wait. So.
Yes, divine timing. Yeah.
So again, thank you so much for tuning in with us tonight as we kind of get to our topic, which I think is a very important one, especially with the work that you do and do so well. So before we kind of get into our topic, can you just give us just some more information about yourself, introduce yourself to everyone, and then also where they can find you?
Yeah, so my name is Esaia Mystic. I go by Yeshaya. You can find me on Instagram. I am very active on Clubhouse, so you can also find me on Clubhouse. And I'm basically out here doing spiritual life coaching and really bringing the divine feminine into alignment with the earth's frequency. Really raising the frequency of the earth is
Mhm.
my sole passion. So I do that through many modalities, astrology,
Mhm.
um, soul medicine, Reiki. There's a lot of different things I'm into. And as you can see, you just played a song. I also make music. I'm a songwriter and a poet. So basically, as of right now, I am offering to women and men who are interested in learning more about the divine feminine, or I should say earth feminine. I like to say earth feminine
Mhm.
energy, so that we can come out of this state of being basically self-loathing
Mhm.
and unaware of ourselves on many levels. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell at this point in my life.
Absolutely.
Um,
Awesome. And that's a very important work because I think, especially now after or in the midst of the pandemic, but after the great, shutdown of 2020, where a lot of people were kind of forced to sit down and really be introspective and kind of think about things on a much higher level than where they've been living. I think it's important to have individuals like yourself that can kind of guide people spiritually, because a lot of people are just kind of out there just doing things vibrating on that lower frequency, and it's people need help. So I think it's really good, the type of things that you do, definitely to kind of get us all back to our original selves. I like to call it is your original self.
yeah,
So kind of get a little bit into the topic that we have tonight, where it says how to stop giving your power away to narcissists and to attract individuals that value you. And when I read that, I was like, that is definitely something much easier said than done for a lot of people. Because
hmm
in my experience, I noticed that people give up their power without them even knowing it. And that's what's so crazy about it, especially when you're dealing with narcissistic energies that make it, that could make it seem like you're doing something because you want to, and you don't even realize you're being manipulated into that thought process or that pathway.
yeah, yeah. Well, the only reason I know about this topic so well is because I got to a point in my life where I realized that majority of people are narcissistic, and um not just the majority of people, but society in general is kind of encouraged to carry this narcissistic energy. And that's because the programming of the system that we live in is based off of narcissism. And narcissism is what I kind of see it as is the sun disconnected from the earth. Because being narcissistic is what people know of as like a distorted ego. Like your ego is just crazy, big, or it's just you're so disconnected from other people that you don't have any real understanding of how to be like a healthy in relationship to other people. And I see it as the sun disconnected from the earth because the sun ultimately represents our ego in astrology and represents our source, our connection to life. And so when you have an ego that's not connected to your heart, which is what the earth represents, right? Even in the way the earth is spelled, if you just move the H in front of the E, you get heart. So even in the way it's spelled, when the sun is disconnected from the earth, you have narcissism. And that's what most people are suffering from today is a extreme disconnect from the earth's energy and the earth's magnetic field. So yeah, that's like the basis of why narcissism in my eyes has become so prevalent, is that disconnect that's happened.
Right. And I think you're absolutely right about that as far as like narcissism, because it is a trait that is celebrated. Because if you think about all of the individuals that are in like higher powers, up there, upper echelon, they have to have a level of narcissism to be successful, at least on that level. So I agree. I think like as a society, narcissism, even though we talk about how bad it is and how they're not good people, but society celebrates individuals like that. Those are the
Yeah.
individuals that make history are the narcissists. So, but I like that idea of it being just that disconnect from the sun and the earth and that imbalance basically that's happening. So I like that. So when giving in relation to giving up power and the narcissist, what do you think are some of like the telltale signs of an individual that's giving away their power and they may not recognize it?
Okay, one of the some of the telltale I don't even know how that's spelled.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the like really prominent signs that someone is giving away their power is they don't have any awareness over where their power is in general. So basically they don't know where their power comes from in the first place. And so it just goes all over the place because they don't understand what power is, essentially. They don't understand power in general. Most people are conditioned to believe power is a bad thing, power is evil. You don't ever want power, right? You don't ever want to be in a place of power because if so, then you are narcissistic or something like that. But it's not necessarily power that's the bad thing. It's the fear of power that creates all of these crazy things that people do. When you are truly seated in your power, you're emanating a type of fearlessness, a security, a faith. Power is essentially you connected to your higher self. And what your higher self is communicating with you on a daily basis. So most people who are giving their power away, the biggest sign is that they are disconnected from their higher self and
Mhm.
their source of power, which is, which is their higher self, which is, this this magnitude of energy that's, telling you what to do with it. But because you've been conditioned from a child, normally like in the school systems, and as we graduate from those systems into other systems,
Right.
the everybody has power over us, or there's always somebody who's more powerful than us.
Mhm.
And basically we have to give our power away to these authorities. And
Right.
so from that, we're just conditioned to feel like we don't have power over our lives, and that somebody else has to kind of be pulling the strings for
Mhm.
us to feel safe. And that's normally what people who end up in situations with narcissistic people, that's normally their kind of energy. They're not really aware of who they are, is what I can say. And honestly, that's the whole gift of coming into contact with a narcissist and experiencing narcissism,
Mhm.
because it provides you with that insight as to who it is you actually are, what you tolerate, what you don't tolerate, what you value, what you don't value. All of those things become very clear when you're dealing with narcissists.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'm about to.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell them I'm
Well,
bringing.
so I definitely agree with that. Like having to even know what your power is definitely would be one of the reasons why you're giving it away so freely, because you're not really sure what you're giving away. And I agree, power in itself is not bad. Just like that old adage, money is the root of all evil. It's actually not money itself; it's the endless pursuit of it that could lead to the evil. So I definitely understand that as far as like giving the power away that you don't even recognize that you have.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
So definitely that's the one thing. So when it comes to like, I think we were kind of putting it specifically towards women, but it's really just anybody in this case as far as like attracting things, because I noticed that generally most people, you kind of law of attraction, you attract what it is that is in you, almost like your mirror image of yourself in some cases, or at least of what some people believe. So would it be fair to say that like a weak, well, I don't want to say a weaker person, but a person who is not yet formed in their power, could it be that they're just automatically going to be drawn to narcissists and individuals who want to take that power?
Yeah. So as far as the law of attraction, because this is something that I definitely asked myself at one point in time,
Mm,
because there's honestly, when it comes to the law of attraction and these spiritual principles, it's really always good to go to the source and
mm,
read books, because what comes up on social media, it can get really like taken out of context and skewed in all kinds of ways. So at one point, I was like, well, because people will, from this understanding, people will say, oh, well, you are what you attract. If you attracted this, then it's something wrong with you, or stuff like that.
right.
But kind of like this, if you're attracting a narcissist, then something's wrong with you. But I really like to look at it as it's a vibrational alignment, meaning it's not necessarily like that this person is you know uh, a part of you or reflecting you, but you're vibrationally, like your signal
Hmm.
that you're sending is in alignment with their signal.
Right.
So as far as when women attract narcissistic men, or they get on that radar,
Hmm.
it's normally always having to do with some sense of inferiority
Mm.
of themselves. Like they somewhere inside of them, they don't feel like they are enough in their own energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the main theme that I notice in women in particular who attract narcissistic men. And this can be really insidious because most of the time when we're going about life, we're not like, oh, something's wrong with me, I feel incomplete. No, we're just living life, and boom, we're coming across narcissists. Me
Mm-hmm.
personally, in growing up, like I had narcissists in my family. Like I was always like coming up around narcissistic people.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until I got into an intimate relationship with someone who was extremely narcissistic that I realized that I had accepted things about myself that I never questioned. I never, thought really that much into because it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? For
Right.
example, um, I was taught by my dad to, always make sure I had my own, um, you know, always make sure I had my own, be independent because you can't depend on a man.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I'm adopting, this is an example of one of the things. And so I'm adopting this mindset and I'm like, okay, that makes sense, like to do that, right? Because you don't want to depend on a man. But then after I got into that relationship, I was realizing how I went into that relationship because of that belief system. I
Mm-hmm.
went into that relationship wanting to be independent of him,
Mm-hmm.
meaning I thought that in order to be worthy as a woman, that I had to be independent. I had to have my own stuff. I had to have my own car. I had to have my own money. And basically, this was something that I thought that, men would admire. So this
Mm-hmm.
is all subconscious. I'm like, oh, men would admire this because, they don't, women should never depend on a man. And so
Mm-hmm.
once I got into that relationship, and I carried that energy of, you know, having my own stuff, having my own money, having my own life, and essentially kind of showing up in a way that was like, I have my own, like I'm basically like, look at all this stuff I have. What
Right.
it did was it took the focus off of what this man was bringing to me, and
Mm-hmm.
it put the focus on what I was doing for myself. And I was never conditioned to make sure that the focus was on what can this man do for you, so that when you do get in a relationship that you can depend on him, that he can be reliable, that he can be someone you can trust. But instead, just that one little sentence
Mm-hmm.
told me that I needed to make sure, I was good, because basically uh I men don't need to make sure I'm good. Like, it's not a man's responsibility to take care of me or any of that. It's my responsibility. And again, when you think about it, that's like a no-brainer. Like, okay, duh,
Right.
we're all supposed to take care of ourselves. But in relationship to feminine energy and masculine energy, that's not how in relationship, that's not how each energy thrives.
Mm-hmm.
Each energy has its own dynamic, its own blueprint. So that's in my experience, like how just the small subtle subconscious things we are programmed to believe about ourselves is creating this dynamic
Mm-hmm.
of attracting narcissistic men, right? Because my father, I guess my father in a way was also coming from a kind of like a narcissistic place, right? Where he's like, I don't take care of any of the women that I've been with, so make sure that you have your own stuff, because you know we are like that basically. But I wasn't aware of any of those things at the time. So yeah, that answers your question.
Yes, definitely. So it looks like Miss Holter was able to join us as well. Hello, Jessica.
Hi, you guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, hi. Hi.
Hi, I
How
can't
you
see you, but I
doing?
can hear you.
Okay, good, good. Cause I've been doing hair. I got my days a little mixed up. I thought I had my hair appointment tomorrow. But I'm so glad you were able to join. I see y'all talking about something a little different. So maybe when you have a little more time, we could talk about some of the stuff I was watching on your YouTube channel, which I love so much.
Oh gosh.
Yes,
Oh,
because
we're
I just
getting
want to tell you I am a fan. You really hone in on the power of womanhood. So when people
Mm-hmm.
watch you, well, I don't know about other people, but when I watch you, I feel like I'm telling. Okay, when I watch you, I feel like you're coming from a place where women are goddesses, and I've always felt like that. Like we have so much to give to this world, and it's been buried or something. It's like because you could feel it. You could feel
Mm-hmm.
your power, and then in the course of your life, I think as a woman, you allow other people. This is kind of in line with what you guys were talking about. You allow other people to overpower you to the point that their ambitions, dreams, goals become more important than your own. And all of a sudden, you're kind of pushed into this role like Eve, where you're supporting their life and you become like the
Mm-hmm.
background to their foreground. But
yeah.
when you were talking about uh, Lilith, I was, because I was raised Christian. It's really hard to get to break out of those chains, those brain chains that you get when you grow up in Christianity. But I was still very open. I'm listening to the conversation. I'm like, this makes so much sense because whether it's just like, you know, esoteric storytelling or whether it's real or it really doesn't matter because it becomes real when you live your life as a female and this happens to you when you start with your own opinions and your own ideas and goals and everything, and then it kind of gets stripped away and then we just allow it.
Mhm.
And so I was just wondering, where did you just come into this understanding from within yourself, or is this something that you study um, from somewhere else, or like how do you know? It seems so real to me.
Yeah, so that's a good question. A lot of people ask me that when they watch my videos. They're like, "Oh, where are you getting this from?" And I'm like, so yeah, to answer that question, about in 2016, um, I started to get real strong feelings about women, just the divine feminine energy, and it just started coming to me. I got in touch with some videos by some spiritual teachers. I can't think of her name right now, but she's a metaphysical doctor. Um, and if her name comes to me, I'll mention it. But I came across her videos on YouTube, and they were really old videos, like in the 80s, 90s. And she was basically breaking down the metaphysics of how powerful women are and how we're the key to all of this. And from there, I just started getting really, interested in the subject. And from that moment on, I knew like was interested and I was, wanting to learn more. But after that, I got into a relationship, the narcissistic relationship that I'm talking about. And that relationship really is what pushed me into not just thinking about it, but actually experiencing what it is that women go through in truth. Because, when you're not experienced and you don't really know that well, you can still kind of carry like judgments or ideas about like how women should be or this. You can still carry those uh constructs around femininity that, like I said, it's just kind of programmed into you and you don't think nothing of it. And so when I was pregnant with my daughter, it was a high risk pregnancy. I had to be in the hospital for 3 days. Actually, I don't know if it was 3 days, but it was a long time. But I gave birth pretty fast. I had preeclampsia, and my kidneys were like in a really harsh state at that time. And I just was faced with, kind of like a life death scenario. I don't like to look at it like that, but um it was a situation that I really just felt like, I, like I'm literally going through another realm, bringing life into this earth, and coming face to face with death almost. And I chucked it up and I said, I'm gonna give birth to my baby today. Like, I'm not gonna be waiting 3 days. They were like, oh, it might take 3 days for no. I had my baby that day. I went walking up and down stairs. I had my Reiki teacher come do Reiki on me, acupuncture. It was a true midwifery birth, even though it was in the hospital. And I had my baby, and after I had my baby, the doctors came in and told me that they were worried because my vitals were dropping, and my liver was, not working right or some whatever they was talking about. And I was like, okay, so you're just gonna keep me in here and wait for me to die? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, this doesn't make any sense. So I feel like y'all are trying to take me out here and I'm just vulnerable. And that was when I told my mom to cook my placenta and bring it to me to eat. And previous to that whole scenario, I was doing research on, the placenta, and how every mammal on earth eats their placenta after they give birth. And also reading about how the mortality rate in Black women in pregnancy is extremely high, especially when they go to the hospital. And then I started to do some more research on how, there were people making placenta skin balm, placenta lotion, placenta helper, like hamburger helper.
Wow.
I have a blog to prove it.
Oh my
I
God.
literally wrote a blog, and I have images of just basically like, and what came to me was like, well, whose placentas are y'all eating? Because y'all not having all these babies. I know that's y'all not having all these babies. So that was when I also got in touch with some more information just about the placenta and how women are supposed to eat their placenta after birth because it will nutritionally give back to everything that you lost during pregnancy or everything you gave to your child. So I told my mom to make my placenta, and she made it. She made it like a little broth, like a little soup, and brought it to me. I ate the whole thing. And the next day, my vitals went up. I was like blown up like a blueberry. I was looking so swollen, guys. Like I have pictures. It just was not a good look. And I ate it, and the next day my vitals went up. They were like, "Oh, you can go home." So I went home, and then that next day, my whole body was deflated. My skin was clear. Like it just felt like everything was better. And then from that point on, I was getting very, very, very strong. Like it was a very emotional time. And the messages I was receiving was like unhushable. Um, because I just started to see patterns everywhere. I started to see how the system is set up for, you know, women to basically, number one, feel a certain way about themselves, think and feel a certain way about themselves, especially Black, Afro-Indigenous Black women. And then from the way we're being programmed to think and feel about ourselves, they have all other systems set up to feed into those insecurities around, you know, us being able to attract a partner that will actually love us and take care of us and treat us like we're worthy. And you know, also have the system set up to where, you know, we aren't able to raise our children on our own, or we don't even actually think to want to do that. We feel ashamed if we have a child or are get pregnant. And we have this sense of
That part.
fear around that. It was just a lot of things that was just coming to me like, dang, it seems like it's really all set up for us to never get, or just always have these programs embedded in us about what we're worthy of, and especially how much power and authority we have over our womb and our children. So to answer your question, majority of what I speak on is pure intuition, and I use, you know, other sources. If I come across something interesting and read something, I'll integrate that into, you know, what I know and what I teach. But it's honestly, it's just pure spirit. So
Well, I can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I love the story that you told about Adam having the two wives and how I don't know if people get a chance to go back and look at her video. What's the name of your channel on YouTube?
it's Esaiamystic.
Esaiamystic. It's ESSAIA.
ESAIA.
ESAIA. Oh,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Yes. So yeah, I love this story because it makes so much sense, because this can happen in life where you have a woman and that woman is too damn strong for you, and you end up going for a weaker woman or a younger inexperienced woman so that you can be chief of your house or whatever. And so the strong woman can be intimidating. I just thought that that was such an amazing story to tell. And it just made me think, just even about my own life, living in a house of death and losing my power. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting some direction here telling me to, I guess, hold the phone back a little. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. So the first question I really wanted to ask you after you said that is, what did the placenta taste like?
It tastes like, you know what a baby smells like after you give birth? Like the baby smell?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Like the baby smell. babies have a smell, like after you, like the colostrum on the baby, and then they just have a smell for a while, like they just smell like a baby.
Mhm.
Um, it tastes like the way the baby smells, like
Mhm.
it don't
Okay.
taste like the baby, like so
They don't
this
taste
is
like
the
a
thing.
baby.
Yeah, this is the thing. Whenever I mention this, people, especially like people who have been conditioned to feel like meat is the devil, they be like, you doing demonic stuff, you eating or borderline eating your child, and I'm like, that's another programming. Like I'm telling you, every mammal on earth eats their placenta after they give birth. It's a natural thing. And so yeah, it tastes, that's the way it tastes.
Well, you know, I see Don over there kind of cringing, going, I would never eat a placenta. But when you think about it, our babies drink milk from our breasts. So what, I mean, our babies drink milk from our breasts. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I mean, is that like wrong too? Like, I mean, it's very strange that we find it necessary to subscribe to Eurocentric ways of thinking when it comes to our bodies and our babies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's we're, from the time that you push the baby out, you're especially if it's in the hospital, you are bombarded with, would you want to give them formula? You want to do, like, you don't even get an hour to sleep. Like, somebody coming in the room every 5 seconds. At least that was my experience. I was bombarded. I had a little bit of support come in, but she was there for a few hours. She was advocating for me breastfeeding and just kind of showing me how to do it. And yeah, a lot of what we have um, known, and midwifery is a big example of this, because midwifery was literally illegal, you know, um, a few decades ago. Like, midwifery was illegal to have your baby at home with a midwife, So just in birthing and taking back your sovereignty over your womb is coming back, in these times, because that was something that was like, you have to have your child under our care, uh,
Mm.
and supervision.
Can y'all
So
hear me better now?
Yes.
yes, and we can see your picture too.
Oh yeah, Don put that up for me. Um,
Mhm.
so what I just want to repeat that because we're probably gonna have to edit that out. But what I was saying is, they talk about, oh, you're eating your placenta, but we let our babies drink milk from our breasts. So, I mean, I'm sure in some worlds people would be like, oh my God, that's horrible. But we are animals, just like every other animal. And there are certain natural things that we're supposed to do. And I found it refreshing watching your channel because it really took me back, to a point of nature. And I also want to say, like, you were talking about 2016, something kind of came over you. I'm telling you, man,
Mhm.
there was something happened in 2016. Something happened. I came to Atlanta in 2015 after going through like a death. Like, my partner had cancer and died in the house. And like, I'm holding her when she died. So it was a very, mm, I, I want to say, transportational experience where I ended up some other place on the other side. Um, a, a, it was different than when I had my baby. I'm sure when you had your baby, you experienced something like laying on the table going, I am woman, hear me roar kind of thing. It's like you feel this moment of empowerment with, like, yes, I fucking did that. This was different. This was like going through the fire and burning down to the ground like the phoenix and coming up on the other side type of thing. And when 2016 rolled in, I was completely humbled and open to the universe. And when I tell you, the women that came to the Punani Project after that were such a wild assortment of women that I had never experienced that before. And I've been doing the Punani Project for over like 25 years. And I'd seen, I thought everything. But these women, I met a woman who could make a person have an orgasm without even touching them. And now I know two. One of them is our yoga lady. Just the amount of power I was able to witness amongst this group of women. There were about 7 of them, I guess, that toured with us that year. And all of them had something very, very special. 𝑬𝒐𝒊𝒂𝒍 with her voice and all her different ranges. Ami, who I see has joined us in the chat. Ami is the one she is our yoga teacher who comes on Saturdays. Hi, Ami. She's gonna move to Thursday mornings, I'm told. But yeah, she's a great person. She's somebody, Esaia, I told you I wanted you to meet on Instagram.
Oh yeah, I followed her.
Yeah,
I'm
she
following you
knows
now.
all that stuff about the body, the organs, and how the organs and the emotions have connectivity, and how your sadness and your fear, can relate to your health. I mean, she's amazing. So 2016, besides all the crazy stuff that was going on with politics, I felt a soar of female energy that has only grown more intense. So now when I see all these guys running around in dresses and stuff, I think of it differently than I think a lot of people do. What, Brittany?
No,
I'm not going to go off the rails about it.
no, I get it.
I'm just going to say that I think maybe just the power of the divine feminine started to really just overtake us around 2016. So a lot of men are vibrating in feminine energy right now. I don't think it has anything to do with sexuality or gay or straight or anything. I think it has to do with the divine feminine knowing that she needs to take over. Otherwise, these motherfuckers will have us at war. Girl, are you kidding me right now? Yeah, so I get it.
Yeah. It looked like you were about to ask a question. That's why I paused, Brittany.
No.
Yeah, I mean, 2016 was that year for me. Um I feel like the energy in general, I feel like the earth is speaking and she's pulsating, and her messages are coming through to those that are enlightened enough to hear what messages she has to share. I do feel like men are taking on a more feminine energy, but I don't feel like it's balanced. I feel like they so this is the whole thing that I was mentioning earlier about how the narcissist, I see narcissism as the sun disconnected from the earth. It's kind of like the man is, or the ego, which represents the masculine energy, is disconnected from the earth. And when we're talking about the earth represents the 4th ray of intelligence in astrology. And the 4th ray of intelligence is the primal source of all intelligence, like sacred geometry. It's like divine order. And, kind of like all things sprout from this order. And I've had, men get on calls with me, telling me that they want to get more in touch with their feminine energy. And then they say, I've seen men, they're wearing dresses and wearing lipstick now. So they're getting more in tune with their feminine energy. And I'm like, no, that's not getting in tune with your feminine energy. That's running away from your masculinity. And I'm saying that because the understanding that we all have a twin flame, right? This concept that we all have a twin flame. And I was talking about this earlier in my clubhouse room, because today a lot of things are ambiguous in the spiritual world. And a lot of people take things and run with them as far as, their concepts and things like that. So the understanding that, we all have masculine and feminine inside of us, is coming from the understanding that we all have, we are one soul. So think of like the yin and yang symbol. Our soul is one with the, with the cosmos, with the all, with oneness, with being. And in that oneness, we have what they call now a twin flame. And that twin flame represents our other energy, whether, that be masculine or feminine. So when you come here in a feminine vessel, your spiritual resonance, or what I would say, your soul came here knowing that you wanted or had a certain intention, coming here through a feminine vessel. And also, most likely, and most often, sometimes it doesn't happen, your twin flame will also come here at that same time. So the idea of like coming more in sync with that divine feminine energy for men is really just them connecting with that twin flame union. And you can do that spiritually. You can do that by paying attention to your environment and watching it speak through your environment, because spirit will always speak through synchronicities, coincidences, other people sometimes. So when you pay attention to that and you receive the lessons of that, you connect more with that energy. But, as a divine masculine, I wouldn't say, taking on a more feminine energy, such as like wearing dresses, that's not getting in tune with your feminine energy. That's running from masculine energy wounds. That's a masculine energy wound.
So Ami Brown, who was on there, we were just talking about, made some comments. She said, Jessica Holder, that's why I say people need to stay out of other people's bedrooms without being inviting. Having sex is loud, very high vibrations, and it makes it hard to hear the universe. So we have another comment that says, exactly, I identify as androgynous, which is partly female and male in appearance, and what does it say? Indeterminate of sex. And then we have another, oh, that's the same comment as well. So that concept of that masculine and feminine energy kind of dwelling therein, and that balance, I guess, because in nature, balance is the homeostasis is what is attracting, correct?
Yeah, but let me just say, I try to be funny when I say about men in dresses. It's not just the dresses, though. It's the sensitivity. It's the sensitivity that is being encouraged from on high. Simple things like you have a child. Your child is probably still a baby, but when your child gets older, you're going to experience some of the things I did. Like my daughter got in sports, in the sports program, there's no winner. No winner, no loser.
What kind of program was that Angel was in?
Basketball program, no winner, no loser, because they want to teach. Well, I'm not sure what they want to teach, but that was the thing. Like, no, It's almost like they changed everything. They're changing everything. And I don't know if they're changing everything under the pressure of women, which is what I kind of felt, but maybe it's something else. I don't know. But as a parent and as a female, I'm looking at it going, I could see wanting to be fair and everything like that, but at a certain point, you have to draw the line, because I'm not the type of woman that doesn't want men around. I'm not the type of woman that doesn't want leadership. I'm, as a former military person, I'm not the type of person that doesn't want an army. Being feminine doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you have to give up your balls to wear a dress either. So yeah, there does need to be balance, but who is going to bring that balance? Like, what are we going to do to bring that balance? I'm looking at Ami's comments right now.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And honestly, as far as, when you say we, are you talking about, the divine
Human,
feminine or women?
humankind, just as a species of people trying to coexist on a planet, who is going to be responsible for bringing the type of balance that really seems like it is required to make this thing a go, like in a healthy way. Like, how are we gonna
Right. So,
bring balance?
so
Yeah.
the balance is, it starts within self. Right. So we didn't come here to save nobody outside of us. We came here to focus on ourselves and save ourselves. And then once we, embark on that journey, we can share that light with other people, and they will then be influenced by that light. And that will then raise their vibration. So it all starts with self. And cultivating the balance within yourself is the most important thing. And that's why, you know, as the divine feminine, as the divine masculine, um, you are cultivating a balance within yourself, um, because biologically it benefits both parties to do that. It's not just something that, it will be an energetic shift. It will be a physical shift in the way that your body reacts, and your body, um, you know, responds to the energy that you start to take on. So as far as women, our only obligation to being in balance is to tap into the essence of what it means to be, and not do, but be. And being at this point or this era is an art form, because there's so many things in our society telling us we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to do this, we have to do that. And it gets us out of remembering that all we need to do is be, and all we need to do is tap into the core of what makes us a woman, which is, feeling, imagining, being in the receiving mode. And that's a whole art form in and of itself that most people have come to devalue so much that they feel like they have to do something to get a certain result. So ultimately, what you want is for your world to look exactly how you want your world to look. And it will be a ripple effect. It will emanate throughout, the earth, and it will help to raise the vibration of the entire earth. So when you focus on your own life and the balance of your own life and creating the life that you want to see for yourself, not necessarily, like what's going on in society and what's going on out there, all of the things that are popping up in regards to, what other people are doing in society, in relationships. This is all highlighting to us what we want our life to look like and how to get into the creative process to create that life. So what we end up doing, instead of getting into the creative process, we start um focusing on things or giving attention to realities that we don't like or that we aren't satisfied with, and that then creates more and more of what we're still so frustrated with. So really it's just the art of being able to master being in your feminine and being in the receiving mode. And as far as men, I did a documentary like 4 years ago while I was pregnant. I think it was about 4 years ago. Whoa, it's just me. Was that on purpose? Oh, okay. So yeah, about 4 years ago, I did a documentary. It's on my YouTube. It's called The Great Woman Resurrected. That was before I even wrote the book. And I basically talked about how men are being raised to not be in touch with their feelings, not connect with, their emotions. They're raised with this ideology of what masculinity is, which is normally this alpha male type of energy. And um, it completely distorts or takes away from the power that there is when a man can healthily connect with his feminine energy. So a lot of what, these gangster guys and these guys who are like overly promiscuous and having sex with everybody and cheating all the time, and they want to shoot everything and start all this drama. These
Right.
are men who are their masculinity is wounded, and they're trying to get in touch with their feminine energy, because I wouldn't even call them like feminine men. Like, it's like they're trying to get in touch with their feminine energy through acting out this way, but they're not being properly guided or be put in the correct environment to be able to do that. And so they end up coming off as, ultra feminine, they sensitive, they want to take a woman's role, they want to basically say that. I was in a clubhouse room the other day, and the topic was on, can a woman be a good mother if she has to work a full-time job? And
No, she cannot.
yeah.
Sorry.
Came in the room, who was like, well, I feel like men are better nurturers than women. And so, I mean, I left the room after that because it turned into like an argument party. Like, so, that's another thing I don't do. I don't stay in unproductive environments. But so that's a cue for the narcissist giving away your power thing. But that was just highlighting to me how, like, there's this ultra it's this wound between the masculine and the feminine, and the balance between that. And anytime you see the opposite sex or even your own sex acting in ways that are outside of what you
Esaia, back up like about 5 sentences because your mic is going out. So we can capture all that.
Right.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Start with the dude who was at the party who was like, men are better nurturers. Yeah, start with that.
Yeah, so what I was saying was, he came in and he basically made the statement of, well, men are better nurturers than women. And, we could be at home and we could do just as good as y'all do, raising children and yada, yada, yada. And everybody proceeded to strongly disagree with him. And from there, I was just ultra aware of the fact that, there are men who are so, this wound is so strong where men feel like they don't see any value in being a man in a relationship. They want to take your role because they have wounds around feminine energy, and women are trying to, I wouldn't even say trying to, but in their desperation, they're trying to so desperately secure themselves that they end up acting in all of these masculine ways, like how you guys were talking about earlier, like proposing to men and, trying to just secure themselves, because it's like they don't see how the long-term, I guess, the long-term effects of what they're doing. Because I know a lot of women, or I have heard that, even women who do get proposed and get married to these men, they be like, that was a worst 12 years of my life I was married, or I would never do that again, like type of energy. So yeah.
I think maybe and I don't want to take us into a whole nother space, but I think maybe women in America, Black women, Indigenous Black women, Indigenous women of color in America are trying to fit into some image that they've created for us to want to fit into, instead of who we actually are. And because so much of our history has been erased, and we don't get it in school, and we rely on them for pretty much all information about everything, including ourselves, we don't really know who we are, but we feel way more independent and free-spirited than this society would ever allow a female to be. But I think white men have brought their rules here with them. But I recently was doing my, I've been doing my ancestry and my DNA and all that stuff. And in doing it, I'm looking at historical records that tell us for factual that the men here had large families, 30, 40 people living in their homes, many of them wives, most of them children. It was a different society, a different type of society that we lived in, and we're trying to fit into a whole different box right now. And I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we just have to redefine ourselves instead of allowing other people to decide, who we are and how we should behave.
Yes. I think that men and women. Sorry, my brother came in the room and kind of caught me off track. But I had something that I wanted to say and it slipped my mind.
It's okay. I want to ask you about the wall behind you. Did you paint that?
Oh no, this is a tapestry.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a tapestry. I just pinned it up here.
It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the first thing. Dawn said that's the first thing she noticed. I mean, if you're still on here, I know you like that tapestry too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I love this tapestry. The colors are so vibrant and they match.
What I was saying when your brother came in the room is that I think we have tapped into, we're trying to put ourselves against a system that has created an idea of what a woman is, and that woman is not us. That's white women, that they want to sit on a pedestal and not do nothing and have servants and all that stuff. But we are in the trenches of our lives, not the trenches of their houses, but the trenches of our lives, just doing what we do as mothers, as nurturers, as providers. And if you look at indigenous families, indigenous men and women, and how they run, those women ran those households, still do, in tribes. Women are essential to indigenous tribes. So if that's who we really are, maybe we shouldn't try to hold ourselves to these Eurocentric standards of what femininity is or what even masculinity is. I think men should trust women and our nature, you know, to do the right thing and to sense danger, and to, there are certain things about women that are innate, that all women have, to be able to sense danger, to know how to protect your children and all that stuff. It doesn't come from men, it doesn't come from society, it comes from inside of you. Much like your message, I felt that you had kind of been anointed, or as we would say in the Christian church, they call that being anointed. When you just have a vision or a calling or a message that comes to you, they call that an anointing. And that's when I saw I don't even know how the hell I ended up on your video on YouTube, because mostly I watch like Dane Calloway, and I be watching some crazy stuff, girl. I'm watching like I'm trying to put pieces together right now that will help me to add up to what I really think. And I'm trying to trust, like you did, the things that I think. And I talk to Don, my wife, and I say stuff, and she's like, you are a crazy person. But I know that these messages don't come to me out of nowhere. I just feel certain things, and then I try to find online answers to that. And I think that's how I got to your page, because I was looking up Lilith. Oh, that's probably how I got to your page. And you were doing something from the car that day. That particular day, the first video I saw, you were doing something from the car. And then you were talking about, we could talk about it in another video because I'm keeping you too long, but something about, you didn't call it the earth woman, but you were talking about like the natural woman of this earth.
Yes. So
what's
yeah,
the word for that?
So the energy that you're talking about, that's instinctual, that's inside of every woman, that was ultimately what I was highlighting in my Lilith video. And that is what I like to call the spirit of the earth. It's a serpent spirit, right? Because you know, the devil, quote unquote, is represented as this serpent, but it's really the basic intelligence of our in Kundalini, our spine, all of the messages that are flowing through our spine. And this is why it's really powerful to consume your placenta, is because inside of it is the intelligence and memory of eons and eons, lifetimes, right? And so this inkling that we have is what comes from our Kundalini and being connected to the spirit of the earth, the literal spirit of the earth. This earth is alive, and it is very much so alive. And you know, there is a feminine being, or I should say deity, that governs this realm. And we as women, we're all uniquely connected to it. You know, they really represent the energy very clearly in the movie Avatar, actually very bluntly. uh but
I did watch that
ultimately,
video that you did about that. It was very, and I didn't see the movie, and it made me want to see the movie, but yes.
yeah. And this brings me to another point, how, you know, we want to steer away from really identifying this energy coming from solely white people or European people, because not saying that it doesn't, but it can limit the scope of things, because ultimately this energy is coming from uh energy, a presence that is not it's not, so think of it as a being that is not in alignment with the earth's frequency. It's not in alignment with source energy. It's essentially a spirit. This is how every white person or everybody in the world could be racist against black people, and then 50 years later, everybody cool now. Like, it's an energy that kind of shifts its focus and lives through people that are susceptible to that energy. Um, and I'm saying that because when we ultimately, put it on um, Eurocentric or white people, we can miss the angels that are coming to us through it might sometimes be a white person. Spirit don't have that same kind of,
Spirit saying
oh, right. So
right.
and that's something that I personally learned in my own journey. And it's not so much, white people, but it's this being or this energy that has come here and used religion, honestly, as its primary tool to make that ultimate disconnection from people being able to really resonate with the truth that the woman came first, the feminine energy came first, and then came the man, and then then the child.
Obviously, yes.
So so um that's ultimately why people are feeling so out of sync with the natural balance and order of things, because if you can take religion and you can have people align their beliefs with something that isn't connected to the truth of the earth, then you have people creating um a way of life that is ultimately destructive for not only themselves, but their entire existence. And this
Girl,
is
why are you
something.
attacking my Christianity right now?
Oh,
I'm just
I'm
kidding,
not
I'm just kidding, I'm
attacking,
just
and
kidding.
I'm just
I'm just
saying.
playing. I get it. I 150,000% get it. So I've had a wonderful time. Thank you for being patient with me tonight while I was doing hair. I gotta go back and put some rollers in it and dip it real quick so she could get to school tomorrow. But I've had a lovely time. Thank you so much for having me on your broadcast tonight, Brittany. Thank you for seeing this through, because I really, really, really wanted to make sure that Esaia Mystic got on here. And also, if you could connect with Ami, just chat it up for a few days, I would love to see what y'all came back with, because it's very important for like minds on this earth to get together. They're doing a lot of work to keep us separated, keep us from communicating. But this internet is something else, ain't it? So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you to Dontrella, Ellie Radio, for putting this together for us. We're still in our baby phases, with our shows, trying different things and stuff. But this one, Coffee Talk, is pretty good. It allows us to talk about whatever we want. And I think, are we pre-recording tonight?
No, this is live.
Oh, I didn't know this was live. I thought we were pre-recording.
No.
Well, like I told you, we could pre-record anytime you want. And then if you get a chance to connect with me, and y'all can really talk deeply about things that are probably above my understanding. But Ami knows how to talk to me in Oakland talk, and she can break everything down so I can understand a little better.
Yes,
Hi,
definitely.
Brittany.
Hello. Yeah, we can definitely, whenever you have some available time, we can probably do a part two, maybe with interviews with Get a Gore Blue. We can have the three of you, you two and Ami on there, and kind of just hash it out. I think Ami said we can start with the Big Bang. so, so absolutely. Thank you so much, the two of you, for coming on the show tonight
Oh,
and experiencing it with us. And everybody that's in the comments, we thank you so much, because, like I was saying before at the beginning of the show, like this is definitely important information that people need. I think it's important work. So again, if you could just tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get your books and everything, because I want to make sure that people follow you after this and continue the conversation.
Yeah, definitely. So, you can follow me on Instagram at Esaiamystic, also on Clubhouse at Esaiamystic. If you haven't downloaded the Clubhouse app yet, I know it's pretty new. Um, yeah, and you can there's my link tree. When you get to my Instagram, my link to my book, The Great Woman Resurrected, which has way much more details about a lot of the things I spoke on, you can buy it there. And also, if you're interested in the free workshop, you can also find how to stop giving your power away to narcissists and start attracting men that actually value you. So that is completely free. It's about, it's an hour-long workshop. So just come with your paper and pen. And yeah, and if you're interested in working with me further, if you're interested in developing your feminine energy and, honing in your power and using your feminine energy to realize yourself in the most ultimate way possible, definitely give me a DM. And yeah, I'll open up my doors for you in my 8-week program, Earth Feminine Rising. So yeah, I really appreciate you, Brittany, and everyone who was a part of getting me on here, because I was messaging a bunch of people. I was like, wait, it's so many numbers. I don't know who I'm talking to, but we just go, everybody's one person.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Like I said, we'll definitely make sure to have you on for part two next time and kind of further again the conversation about it. I really appreciate you coming on tonight. And again, thank you for everybody tuning in tonight to Coffee Talk Radio. We will be back next week, and we'll be coming out to you live in color. We're going to be starting off with our ATL mix as well as our Coffee Talk, maybe moving to the morning. So definitely stay tuned. Follow us on coffeetalkradio.com. YouTube is Coffee TV and everything there. Thank you so much again for our illustrious guests, and have a good evening.
Yes. Have a good evening.